All right, let's get right into this. I want you to forget everything you think you know about today's top predators. Seriously, long before lions ruled the savannah or tigers stalked the jungle, the wild belonged to a creature that was, well, it was something else entirely.
The source material we're looking at uses this very specific phrase. Not just bigger, not just stronger, but far more terrifying. That right there should tell you we're talking about a predator that was playing a completely different game. So what could possibly be more fearsome than the big cats we know and respect today?
Well, here's your answer, the Smilodon. This was the legendary top dog of the Ice Age, but you probably know it by its more famous name, the saber-toothed tiger. The thing is, as we're about to find out, that name doesn't even come close to capturing what made this animal so uniquely and terrifyingly effective.
And here's what you've got to understand. The Smilodon wasn't built for a long chase like a wolf, and it wasn't a pure sprinter like a cheetah. Nope. Its entire body, this massively powerful frame, was engineered for one single purpose: the ambush. It was a specialist, a master of the surprise attack, designed to get the job done in just a few brutal seconds.
And what was its main tool for that perfect kill? This, 7 inches. Just let that number sink in for a minute. We're talking about canine teeth that were as long as a grown man's hand. These weren't just teeth, they were daggers, biological weapons honed over thousands and thousands of years.
This comparison really shows you the difference in their whole game plan. A lion's teeth, they're tough, they're robust, they're made for gripping, holding on, even crushing bone. But the Smilodon's fangs, they were actually kind of delicate and razor sharp. They weren't made for smashing through bone. Their job was to find the throat and just slice, to end the fight almost instantly.
This quote from our source material really it puts you right there in its world, doesn't it? Can you imagine that feeling? That primal instinct screaming that you're being watched, but you see nothing. There's no sound, no movement. The Smilodon was like a ghost in the tall grass, a true master of stealth.
And its hunt? It played out like this terrifying 3-act play. Act 1, the silent, patient waiting, just hidden. Act 2, this explosion of pure power, a massive, muscular leap to literally slam its prey to the ground and pin it. And then Act 3, the quick, brutally efficient finishing move. It was a terrifying art form, perfected over millennia.
So it sounds completely unbeatable, right? An evolutionary masterpiece sitting at the very top of the food chain. But this is where the story takes a huge turn, because the Smilodon's greatest strength, its extreme specialization, was also its greatest weakness. So, what on earth happened? Well, this timeline shows a devastating chain reaction. Around 10,000 years ago, the Ice Age finally ended. The whole world started to warm up, and ecosystems were thrown into total chaos. The giant, slow-moving animals that the Smilodon was perfectly built to hunt, mammoths, giant ground sloths, they started dying out. And as the Smilodon's menu disappeared, so did the Smilodon. But see, that timeline just gives us the what. It doesn't really tell us the why. Was it really that simple? This is the huge mystery that scientists are still trying to figure out. How could a predator so perfectly adapted to its world just vanish? Okay, so scientists have a few leading theories. The most obvious one is that its prey just went extinct. No more giant animals meant this highly specialized hunter just couldn't switch to chasing smaller, faster stuff. Then there's the massive climate shift itself. And finally, a brand new, incredibly adaptable competitor showed up on the scene. Us. Early humans who were also hunting the very same large animals. We may never know for sure what the final nail in the coffin was, but while the experts debate the details, the source material leaves us with one final and frankly chilling thought. Just think about that for a second. Our entire relationship with nature would be completely different. Every hike in a national park, every walk through the woods would carry this deep primal fear, knowing what could be watching you from the shadows. And that brings us to the final big question. The Smilodon was a perfect hunter, an absolute masterpiece of evolution, and yet it's gone. So what does its incredible reign and its sudden disappearance teach us about survival? About that razor-thin line between being perfectly specialized and being adaptable enough to change when the world does. It's a pretty powerful lesson coming to us from a ghost of the Ice Age. Definitely something to think about.